Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Bennett Maxwell, your host in the Deeper Than Dough podcast. I'm here with my co-host Wade Rasmussen. Usually don't say his last name because it's difficult to pronounce. And we have the privilege to have Nate Bradshaw on the podcast. Nate is the owner of B10 Capital, which does taxes and investment strategies, as well as a really awesome angel investor. So we're super excited to have you on the show, Nate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so absolutely. Paul Shin, shout out for tacos together.
That's right. Yeah.
He connected us.
That's right.
First time.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Bo Bennett. What a great last name, man.
Yeah, Bo Bennett. He's great.
We were both on the startup conference at UVU, the panelist, and I was just hearing Nate spitting fire, dropping those golden nuggets, as the podcast call them. And I
dropped them all. In fact, I don't have any more.
I needed them.
So I came to the show without any. Out. Yeah, there's no golden nuggets.
I was really nervous during that, and I felt like I was just the biggest douche when I was answering some of those. And I'm like, Nate's so much cooler, so much relaxed, and I'm just like stiff and like trying to be all businessy and.
Not at all. Stupid. Not at all. No, whenever you were speaking, I was just like fawning, like, oh, this is, man, just want more of that. So it was good.
That was a fun little event. Nate, what'd you want to be when you were a little kid? And how does that compare to what you're doing now?
I was on an art track for a long time. So like I was like Sterling Scholar in art in high school. Like I was like an artist.
All right.
So like, honestly,
like drawings.
Yeah,
what kind of
art? Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. You know, some inappropriate. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like no, like drawing.
You seen the Titanic?
Drawing, painting. I mean, at the time, I think I was like, okay, the only way to make money doing this is to be a graphic artist. So for some reason, that was in my brain. But yeah, that was like when I started university, I was an art major.
All right,
which is insane.
And now you're in. And now investments and
I'm in business.
Capital.
I took this economic. Well, and that's a much longer story of how this whole thing happened. But anyway, I took an economics class and combined with some other history, some other experiences that had happened to me previously. Like it just clicked, and I was like, okay, this is the way.
Yeah. So that's what you wanted to be. What are you?
So
who are you?
I mean, wow. Currently, right now, in addition to like an angel investor and, you know, an advocate for startups and stuff, like, so I'm still in the game. So I am a founder, co-founder and one of the partners of B10 Capital. We're a tech strategy firm. You know, we help the builders, creators, innovators of the world continue to build, create, and innovate. Like that's really our mission. And the vehicle we do that with is to help them in deferring or mitigating their largest business expense, which is taxes.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the tool that we use to fuel that growth for those companies. So again, big advocate for startups, big advocate for business in general. Personally, I have a belief that, you know, human beings are fulfilling their greatest purpose and mission when they are building, creating, and innovating. Like that's when we are tapping into the innate nature of what humans are about is when they're creating. Like that's what our purpose is, to be here. And so when we're either doing that ourselves or helping others to do that, that's when we're getting the greatest measure of fulfillment.
That's cool.
So
I forgot what I was going to ask now, but it was a good question.
No, my question, just springboarding off of that, is how did you get into the angel investing world, investing in general? I feel like people throw that term out there. Yeah, I do a lot of investing. I'm an angel investor, et cetera. But I think a lot of people think, well, I have to have a ton of money in order to do that, or, you know, something like that. But how'd you get into that world?
So,
especially from art
to
high level investing.
Well, I mean, look, you know, the path between being an art major and where we are today, there's a lot of collateral damage back in that pathway, right? Lots of failed businesses, lost investor money, lost my money. You know, there's lots back there. So yeah, this is not a overnight success story, you know, silver spoon like story, right? Like definitely lots of history there to get to this point today. But the true story of how I got involved in investing is, so you guys are familiar here in Utah anyway with Scott Paul. You know, so Scott Paul, love him or hate him, you know, he is probably one of the most prolific angel investors in Utah. You know, he doesn't like brag about that or advertise that a lot, but like he definitely, if you talk to him, he'll be like, well, if I'm not the most prolific, I'm definitely the most poor because I put all my money into startups, right? Like that's like his whole thing. But it was a conversation with him, and he was talking about that, and he was talking about how much money he puts into pre-seed, early stage startups, and how, you know, again, his balance sheet is like an absolute mess. Like he's just, you know, never liquid, doesn't have any money because he just puts it all in these startups. And, you know, I'm listening to him and I'm just thinking, well, I've got resource, and like if you know, here's an individual, and if he's putting that amount like into these companies, and, you know, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He says he believes, and this is the way he takes action. Like, what's my stewardship to contribute to that? Like, I say I support startups. Am I really doing things that helps the ecosystem? And that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to get into it for that purpose alone. And
Do you know Landon Ainge?
Yeah, well, and Landon, so I've done a ton of investments through his SPVs. That's where a lot of...
Yeah, it's so cool what he does. So Wade, this guy goes and he raises money, kind of raises money. I don't know if I'm describing it right, but it's like, dude, if you want to throw in $5,000 on this, you know, maybe this round's 500,000, but you could put in 5, you could put in 20, you could put in 50, but you get the opportunity to invest and start with much lower amounts.
Yeah.
And like, that's what he does. He just facilitates these deals.
Yeah, and you get invested
really
alongside like other VCs. And so, yeah, that vehicle would be like an SPV or like a syndication is what they would call that.
Yeah.
That kind of like rests alongside these other money raising activities. And yeah, it makes it so you can do a lot smaller check sizes. You can go more broad with your angel investing, but it's super accessible way. If you're an accredited investor, it's a really accessible way to get into the game. And Landon does a great job with like, you know, his methodology is really solid. So you can trust that they've answered most of the hard questions by the time you see the deal. And then you just have to decide, do I believe in the founder? Do I believe in the mission? Do I believe that they are the team to get it done? And if they are, then go do it.
Yeah.
So.
I remembered my good question from before.
Okay. Yes. Perfect.
So you're talking about startups and entrepreneurship, and like, that's the drive. I mean, that's what drives us. One, my first part is like, why do you think that? Or where's that coming from? And then two, with your business with B10, were you able to help a ton of startups with all the COVID stuff, the ERTC, PPP loans? Because I mean, man, that was cool for us. I mean, Dirty, that we survived because of that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, look, entrepreneurship in my mind is one of the most charitable things anyone can do. Okay. Like the time, you know, the amount of work and effort that goes into building and creating and innovating something, you know, you guys would know all about this, right? Like it is absolutely a sacrifice, and it's a long hours. It's a lot of risk. It's hard. It's lonely work. And by the time you become successful, where you can start to talk about, you know, where you can start to breathe, you suddenly are in a place where you're still alone because there's very few people that can kind of relate to you and like that you can talk about the successes with. So you can't really talk about the failures with anyone, and you can't talk about the successes with anyone. So it's a very lonely journey. And so and those early stages are so critical. Like that's when you need fans and friends and resources the most. And oftentimes that's when they're the most scarce too. And so that's part of why I believe in that so much. Part of why I do it is because like economically, I hope that I get a return out of some of these deals, but I also do it for the community.
Well, what about like the belief of like, that's our innate human nature.
Yeah. 100%. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying before, where I believe that creation is this miracle that every person has the opportunity to engage in on a daily basis by just taking action. You know, you can experience this miracle of creation every single day by just taking a step into doing a thing. It doesn't, you know, have to be this grand, big thing. It can just be that, you know, today I'm going to make that phone call. Today I'm going to send that email. Today I'm going to, you know, connect the dots on this one thing, or I'm going to actually produce, you know, that piece of content that I said I was going to produce or whatever. Like by taking these small steps and taking matter unorganized and turning it into, right? But for real. And that's what I'm saying. You take all of that and you put it and you assemble it together. That is a miracle. And every person can do that.
It is. It's cool.
Every single day.
So Dirty Dough, the mission is find joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness in ourselves and others. And we have 2 pillars. One of those is mental health.
Yeah.
And that's, this is what we're doing, the Deeper Than Dough podcast. Number 2, though, is lowering the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship, because that has been the best thing for me. I talk about fulfillment, like you can create a job out of thin air and give somebody a living. Like,
yes,
man, that's cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can help so many people. I had a buddy that was just about to go to, like, a buddy since like elementary school, and he decided that he was going to go be in the Army. And like, that's like 2 years or 3 years away from his family, if he gets shipped off somewhere. Anyways, his brother was telling, like, they were talking and like weighing out the pros and cons, and his brother, big entrepreneur, is like, I think like, why do you want to do that? Well, I feel like I'm serving my country. He's like, dude, go be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's arguably a better, nothing against people going and choosing that route. That's awesome. But man, you can make a lot of impact as an entrepreneur if that's what you're after. It's like, I want to serve my community. Yeah, go hire some people to go make a product and go buy from other people that supports their businesses.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I'm going to try and take what can be a long story and make it very, very short. But so Shark Tank, Damon John, there was this episode where this guy came on and he had this really cool product, but his whole thing was he wanted to manufacture it like in his hometown to create jobs. And, the sharks keep kind of asking him questions about the economics and the business model, because the math is just not making sense. And they're like, why don't you manufacture overseas and whatever? And he's like, well, that defeats the whole point of why I'm trying to do this and build this. Because like, if I can't build the factory in my hometown, then I don't have those jobs. And Damon was like, listen, and this is the part that kind of stuck with me, is he was like, look, you got to make it before you can make a difference. Like, you're not going to create any jobs if the economics of your business don't allow you to scale. Yeah. Like, no one's going to have a job. And have you ever thought that maybe if you manufacture elsewhere where the economics do make sense, how many sales jobs, how many HR jobs, how many marketing jobs, how many executive jobs, like how many jobs can you create in your hometown that are not manufacturing related if you can build a real company?
Yep.
And then sustainability with that. So like we're talking about, impact is something that can come when you have resource and when you have an audience and when you have reach. And that comes from building a profitable, that can come from building a profitable company that delivers value to the world.
I just started a book, Conscious Capitalism, and it's written by the owner of Whole Foods. And that's exactly what he said. He's like, we sell our food more expensive because how am I going to make a difference if there's not a profit?
Yes.
And he's like, there's a time that we're getting slammed on the media because we weren't paying our employees enough, but yet we still didn't even have a profit. So our shareholders were mad. And he's just like, I don't know what to do, but that is so important. Like, how are you going to make a difference with nothing?
Right. Yes.
Focus, put your head down, work hard, get the time, money, resources, connections, whatever. And then you can really make a difference.
That's it. So love that.
What brings you the most joy and fulfillment in life? I mean, we talked about supporting entrepreneurs, and you can go into that a little bit, but if there's something else as well, what do you like to do in your free time?
I mean, so with all of it, and I talked about kind of this long journey between being the art major and where I am today, right? But like anything along that path, including, and we're doing some very exciting things at B10 and some of our, sister companies like Moon Tax and Olson Partners Law. But again, like I said, I'm still in the grind, in addition to supporting companies, like I'm still in it every day. We're doing lots of really exciting things. But like, honestly, when I think about what gives me the most purpose and fulfillment, like it's being a father, like it's my family, 100%. Like,
how many kids do you have?
I've got 2 boys. I've got a 3-year-old today. So
awesome.
So yeah. So
let's get you some cookies to take home.
Thank you. Hey, that sounds great. We would love that. So his birthday's today, 3-year-old, and then an 8-year-old. So Ender is my 8-year-old and River is my 3-year-old. And, a beautiful wife, Morgan. We've been married we celebrated 15 years this year. And
why are you squinting?
I mean, because
for those listening, why are you squinting?
I'm trying to think if it was 16, and now that this is like live and recorded, now I'm in trouble if I got. But anyway, I think it's 15.
As long as you know the day.
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember the day. But that's honestly, like, I love being a father. I love being a husband. It's a lot of work.
What is it that, like, helping them find joy or be happy, or resources, teaching them? I mean, what is it? Because I agree with you, but it's hard. Like, what But why? Why do we all say family?
Well, and I hope more people do say family. I mean, listen, family, if you do it right, it is a lot of work. Like, it's hard. It is really hard being a parent, honestly. Like, it's one of the most challenging things I do, I think, to do it well. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly making mistakes. Fortunately, I don't think that avoiding failure is like the goal of anything. And like, failure is how you learn.
Yep.
And so, we shouldn't be focused on trying to avoid failure. We should be focused on learning from our failures and allowing that to propel us into becoming better, continual improvement. But yeah, I fail all the time as a dad. I try and learn from that. I try and teach my kids to do the same thing. But yeah, I mean, when I think about what real legacy is and where I have the greatest ability to make impact, honestly, like, it is within the walls of my home. Like, I try and do good in the world and through the business and deliver value and make sure that I'm authentic and meaningful with my relationships and connections. But honestly, there's nowhere I can make a greater impact than with those two boys. Like, I just have the most influence I'll ever have of anything. And
that you could change these people's lives.
Yes.
For the better, for the worse. But man, you have such a big impact on them.
100%.
I think a lot of my joy and satisfaction for my family is just my kids love me. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know what I do.
I can see why. Right?
They don't know what I
do.
They love me though, and like in the exterior world, I'm always like seeking that external validation for accomplishments. And maybe that's why I have a drive. Maybe that's why I love sales. I don't need that at my house though, Right. They don't care what I'm doing. My 5-year-old just loves me. My 3-year-old, my 1-year-old. And so I guess that's a selfish reason, but man, I like that there is no expectations. There's no conditions on that love that I feel for them. And I'm like, when I'm with them and including my wife, I don't want to exclude my wife out of that.
Absolutely.
But like, I just feel like I'm me, and I don't have to tell them the last business deal that I just did. That doesn't need a talking point because I don't need to impress anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think that is really healthy for a builder, creator, innovator, entrepreneur. You put so much into the business and I think it's healthy to be able to separate and to step back and to go, this is a place that I don't need to bring that if I don't want to. I mean, you totally can. I do teach lessons to my kids, and I hope that I can impart some wisdom on them and assist them if business is something that they ultimately feel like would be of value to them. I think that in some aspect it should be. But at the same time, like you're saying, like my son doesn't care. Like, he's like, dude, like,
what's the difference between $1,000, $10,000 or $1 million? Like,
he cares like if I'm out there helping him practice soccer.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he cares about.
So Nate, here's a question for you then. Obviously you've been involved in the entrepreneurial world, lots of startups for a long time. I think a lot of people, and I don't want to call it an excuse, but a lot of people don't go into entrepreneurship or get involved with a startup because it can be really intense. It can be really labor intensive. Your hours are really 24/7 every single day. And I mean, where do you find the balance? How do you separate the home life and the work life and find fulfillment in both, find joy in both? Because I think a lot of people don't take the jump. And sometimes I really think people can kind of use the family as an excuse. Well, I'm a family man. I want to put that first. I want to spend time with them. So how do you find the balance? What would be your advice for somebody looking into it?
No, it's a great question. And yeah, I'll give you my advice. I don't know if it's perfect, but I'll give it to you. It's, since you asked for it. Like, when I didn't always have good balance. So that's something I had to learn. And, my dad passed away about 9 years ago, and I did not have great balance before he passed away. And I don't have really a lot of regrets about the time period before he passed away.
And was it just a lot of working? A lot of
a lot of working. I mean, I could have spent more time with him. I mean, if I was to go back in a time machine, I don't know that I actually would have changed many of the decisions that I made, because ultimately they did teach me lessons that have helped me get to where I'm at now. But the fact of the matter is I was just grinding a lot. And after that, I made, in thinking about what my relationship with my dad was like when I was younger, because he worked a lot too. And anyway, I just made a conscious choice that it was like, look, after 5:30, like when I get home, I'm going to be with my kids until they go to bed. And I'm just like, and if a call comes through and the place is burning down, then I guess it's going to burn. I guess it's going to burn to the ground. Like if
it doesn't though. That's what's funny, right?
It doesn't.
We think it will though.
You think it will.
You think
you
it
really
will.
do.
But it doesn't, but you do. You totally do. And it takes some real courage to do that. But you do learn. And and I let my partners know when we started B10, close to about 6 years ago, I was like, okay, look, and I told them that. I just was very upfront with like, with setting the right expectations and setting those boundaries and just going, listen, but this is between this time, like I'm with my family, and on the weekends I'm with my family. And that to me is a priority, and it's a non-negotiable. And if that's going to be a problem, then let's hash that out, because like, this is not a negotiable. And one of my partners, I mean, I don't know if he was like really trying to challenge me on that, but it's like for 6 months straight, I swear to you, 6 o'clock every day, he would call me every day. And I would decline.
No, it'll wait till tomorrow.
Text messages. Hey bro, this is super urgent. Need you on the phone. No, like I didn't even reply.
Yeah.
At 7 a.m. next morning. Hey, what was so urgent? That's where I came from. But
yeah.
But that to me, I felt like setting boundaries. And I just decided, I was like, look, if I could double, triple, quadruple, 10x, 100x my income by working between that 5:30 and 8 o'clock, well, I guess I'll just lose.
Yeah. Well, what's the point?
That was ultimately what I came to as well. It's just like, look, what am I doing this for? I'm doing this for these moments. I'm not going to get 1-year-old back, 2-year-old back, 3-year-old back. I'm not going to get my kids in that version of themselves. I'm not going to get it back. It doesn't matter what I have.
Yeah. Who's at their deathbed regretting, oh, I spent too much time for my kids and I didn't make enough money. You know what I mean? Like, how many people are on the opposite though? Yeah. And we think that, the money's going to buy. I mean, I think that's the issue, is we don't know what the money's going to buy. We just want money. We want and then it's like, okay, well, maybe we want the money to have a car. Well, why do we want the car? Maybe for the prestige. Why do we want the prestige? Because we don't feel good about ourselves, and that's giving external validation. Well, can we just go see a therapist and figure that shit out?
Yeah, totally.
Can we bypass this whole thing? Because I was doing that. I'm going to work hard, long hours for my family, right? Because money equals free time, and free time equals vacation time, and vacation time equals time with my family, and that time with my family equals happiness. Well, can I just bypass it? Just do a little freaking shortcut?
More time with the family and just get that happiness right away.
Yeah, it's like, who cares if you have all that? Anyways, but I think that's really, we don't define what we want. We want money, but we don't know why we want the money. Well, I want money because I want time. Well, what are you going to do with your time?
Yeah. I think that that's a great point. I think everyone, and listen, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're not, because again, like every path is different, and there's a lot of value and a lot of fulfillment that can be found in not being an entrepreneur, right? Like everyone's got to find, not everyone's wired for that. So, find purpose and fulfillment in whatever, that area of that is. But I agree with you. I think getting critical and starting to define the why behind these things. And then like you're saying,
like an actual why. Because I had a why. My why was my family, but like that wasn't really my why.
Yes. Yeah. No, totally. You've got, and I think it's helpful to define out some core values too. Like that's a term a lot of people haven't really thought of, but it's like, what do I believe? Like at a core level, what are the values that I believe in? You can have your own personal core values. You can have your family's core values. You can have your business's core values. And it's usually best if you kind of keep them to like 3 or 4, really simple, really specific, really well-defined, and then have that shape out how you structure things like your why and the other parts. And then look at when you're making decisions, like, do these decisions align or disalign with my core values? Because if they disalign, then,
why are we doing it?
Then why are you doing that?
So I would add a mission statement to that as well. Cause like my why, that's my mission statement, joy and fulfillment. So it's not my family, which is, I don't know, maybe that's bad to say, right? But my family brings me joy and fulfillment.
Yes.
But like, I'm not after family. I'm after joy and fulfillment as a person. If I had a family and I wasn't happy, I would rather not have a family and be happy. Sure. So that's why I didn't stop at the family. It was like, wait, but what is my family getting me?
Yeah.
The ability to serve others, maybe.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the ability to change their lives. And that's, maybe we say that's fulfillment, but I think we need to take that extra 3 steps into our why to really find the heart of it.
Couldn't agree more. I think a lot of people would be a lot happier in their life because they would feel like they're more aligned with what's critical and important to them if they would just take a simple exercise, you know, take a weekend off, meditate a bit, come up with these things, define them out, be specific, and you would be surprised how different your life can be just when you have some kind of direction and alignment in making the decisions match up with that.
So you mentioned meditation. What are some things that you do to stay sharp mentally, you know, put your mental health as a priority? And I think we don't talk about mental health. We talk about that we want to be fulfilled. I just think I'm just defining that as mental health, right? If I'm going to be happy and fulfilled, that starts in my brain. What am I doing? What is Nate doing weekly, daily, monthly, whatever to focus on that, to put that as a priority?
I love these questions. These are such good questions. And God, it's stuff I would like never normally talk about because like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm giving away all the dirty secrets of myself, of my core, you know, to the whole world to see. So I've been playing video games with a group of friends. I've got 5 other guys and me. We've got a team of 6 for this game called Destiny that we've been playing Tuesday nights for like 9 years. Tuesday from 9 p.m.
Is it that long of a game? 9 years long?
Yeah, it's a 9-year-old. No, but really, so we get together. We're in what's called a fire team. Okay. So from 9 p.m. until we pass out, we're all pushing, like we're 40s. Okay. These are 40-year-old men and we're all getting our nerdy headsets. We're on our Xboxes every Tuesday night. And we play Destiny from 9 until, you know, midnight, you know, 12:30, 1 o'clock. If you're Nate, you know, Putnam on the team, 2 a.m., whatever, you know, he'll just keep going. But that friend time, having adult friends, and, you know, so you can get together.
That's cool that you're saying it's video games too, because people don't realize like video games, mental health. But it's not about the video games, right?
No, it is totally about the social.
I played Fortnite literally last night with 4 of my buddies or 3 of my buddies.
It is so therapeutic and helpful to have friends. Honestly, whatever you do, poker night or football night or whatever, or video games, I don't care. But having adult friends that you can get together with socially, and for us, it just is convenient because we can do it from home with video games, and we can all connect online that way. And we're solving puzzles together, and we're solving, you know, problems together, which is a lot of fun. But you know, we do that, and we've been doing it, and it's a kind of like a religious experience, and not experience, but like everyone takes it really seriously. You know, when I travel for work, I bring my Xbox. Like I was at LA Tech Week like a couple months ago.
You need to get yourself a Switch, dude. Those are easy to travel with.
If we were gaming on a Switch, but we're gaming on an Xbox,
I have an Xbox
right?
too.
And so I packed this Xbox. We're in this house that we had rented out with some other business guys. They had invited a bunch of people over, some friends, right? But it's Tuesday night. There's one TV in the house that we rented. Okay. So there's this big party. I'm talking like Can't Hardly Wait style party. Okay. Like that was a movie from the 90s. Okay. So go watch that if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Because a lot of the guys who were with us were young. So they've invited like all these like they're having this wild party. And I'm in the living room playing Destiny with my buddies. And there's this party surrounding me. And, you know, and I'm muting and unmuting this whole time. But it's like, it's a commitment to them. They're making the commitment to me. We're committed to each other, you know, and honestly, I attribute a lot of mental health.
That's fun
to that.
That's a good time.
A lot of mental health.
Because I just started picking that back up with my buddies after a few years.
Yeah.
Got myself an Xbox when I moved back here, and that's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Last question for you. What does Nate want to be remembered by? You know, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Oh man. Look, I think no matter what I build or whatever value was created from that, I think, was I kind to the people that I had the privilege of employing, that I had the privilege of doing business with? Did they feel like I was putting effort into delivering real value? You know, so not just trying to make money. Money's totally a byproduct in my mind of delivering value. If you deliver value well, then you have money as a resource. And if you don't, then you need, you know, if you don't deliver value well, then you don't. And so I want to, you know, I hope people will feel like that their lives were improved by me being a part of it, and that I treated them with kindness. I didn't have relationship arrogance with them. I didn't judge them based on, what can I extract from them? Like, that wasn't why I wanted to build relationships with people. So I hope that these are things that are said at, my funeral or whatever. And I hope my children feel that way. I hope my children feel like I genuinely was, free and abundant with my love for them. I hope that they feel like, that my love was unconditional, that I challenged them, and that I helped them to grow and become better. But I hope that they know that it was from a place of love, and that it was, and that it was because I wanted to be free and abundant with that. And so that to me is what's important. Again, I love to build, I love to create, I love to see others build and create. I want to help them do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's because we're all humans. We're all part of this grand human experiment together. And if we're not lifting and building and helping each other, going back to what we said before, I just really genuinely don't even know what all of it's for. Yeah. I really don't.
Well, so this is our third interaction together, you and I. The first one was at Starbucks, and I was there on time, and then the attorney called, and we were reviewing this and that, and I walked in a little late, dude. But you met me with a smile. You'd purchased a freaking drink, a water, and a smoothie. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, who is this guy? He's not pissed at me for walking in here 5 minutes late. Like your spirit of just like that acceptance, that love, man, I felt it. And then again, we met each other at that startup conference. That was a blast. Instant connection. You walk in here, you're talking with Carrie, on the producer side. You guys are just
first time I met Nate just now, 10, 20 minutes ago.
He would have let you handshake him.
5-second hug.
That's right.
When do you ever get a full 5 Mississippi count hug from someone you just
I want another one
met?
when we're done here. I'm looking forward to another one.
I'll go 10 seconds. It was a great hug.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it.
Our height ratios are perfect, where we just one over, one under. It was perfect.
Well, Nate, you're killing it, man. I really appreciate you being on the show with us today, and opening up with your secrets.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I love what you guys are doing. I feel like you're really building in the right way, and I'm a fan. I'm here I'm on the sidelines as a cheerleader for sure, 100%. So anyway, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Nate. Please continue to follow us, subscribe. We will have a ton of other guests just like Nate that are dropping those mental health bombs, I guess, of how to play video games, how to be happy. That was a terrible extra. I'm just going to go back to that word.
It's a lot of pressure.
That's it. No redos.